Hi there, and welcome to another Insomnia Insight episode that I hope you'll find really valuable. If you find that a lot of things that you aren't particularly scared of during the day, they become really vivid, they grow, and they become really consuming at night, well, then this episode is for you. Before we get into it, before we hopefully share things that you can really learn from here, a quick little ad here for anyone who wants to become a sleep coach. Our next batch of certifying sleep coaches starts February 15th. If you think that, this is something for you, this is some work that you would like to do, then head over to our website, check the link at the top, and you can find much more there to learn about the program. Now, that said, this episode came about because a very common question I get is something like this. It's more of a statement here, but there's a question baked into sort of like during the day, I see that there's nothing to fear, but at night it's totally different. I hear this in many versions. A lot of people say I can sort of manage my anxiety at night during the day, but not at night. I have I can see easily that there's nothing really to worry about during the day when I'm at work, when I'm doing stuff, but it's a totally different story at night. Something like that is very, very common. So I thought we should talk about that. And we will actually start at a very sort of basic level. Some things that we really talk about here because they really aren't that important. But here I thought they made sense to talk about what is the purpose of sleep? Why do we sleep in the first place? The most common sort of theory here is what we call the synoptic homeostasis theory, which I just mentioned it for completion here very briefly. The idea is that we continuously create new memories. Many of them are temporary. We don't really need them. We don't really need to remember what we had for breakfast like 4 days ago. It's not really that important. So, we need to kind of get rid of memories that aren't helpful so that we don't get run out of like synapses, run out of space and energy in the brain. And that happens at night when we sleep. So that's the synaptic homeostasis theory. But another one is the immobilization theory, which we'll spend a little bit more time on. What is this about? Well, here's the thing. Not all, but most living creatures, well, animals at least, most animals are either diurnal or nocturnal. That is, we are either specialized for being awake during the day or during the night. And we humans, we are diurnal. And I think what really, how you really can tell the difference between the two is like when it comes to our eyesight, how much light we require to be able to see. And we humans, we don't see that well during the night. But other animals like panthers and owls and things like that, they're nocturnal. They're specialized for hunting actually at night. So where am I going here? Well, the reason I'm bringing this up is to say that a theory as for why we humans sleep at night is because it is actually safer for us to sleep at night. And it sounds a little counterintuitive because, isn't that like at night, shouldn't we be awake to sort of defend ourselves from these predators that, back in the day could hurt us? Well, not really, because they are at an advantage. So it's actually safe for us to just find a place where where there aren't any predators, and then just be immobile. Just lay there for the duration of the night. When it's dark, you just lay there, do nothing, and that the theory says that this is the safest. And some things that sort of back this up is that if you look at really big mammals like elephants, there are few things that are scary to them, so they can afford to be awake for a long period of time and graze and get food and whatnot. But if you look at smaller mammals like rodents and things like that, they are more vulnerable, so they sleep more. They're immobile much longer. Okay, so again, what does this topic have to do with today? Well, check this out. We're diurnal, and we're at a disadvantage when it comes to nocturnal predators. So it was, I don't say it's in our interest, but it was in our interest historically from an evolutionary standpoint. It was in our interest to have some fear of the dark, to not venture out in the dark. That is sort of built into us, I believe, and then this is where this theory goes. So what I mean to say is that it is not strange that anything we fear appears more real, tangible, at night. If you have this experience that things don't really scare you during the day, but they scare you at night, That is not strange, unusual, atypical, uncommon, anything like that. It is actually just so very natural that that happens. So very natural that that happens. And so often, just knowing this, there's nothing strange about this. That alone often helps so much. So I really wanted to highlight this, and I added all that evolutionary stuff to just point out that this is so normal. Now, the question becomes like, okay, if you hear this and you say, okay, I hear you, I hear that it is nothing strange or unusual that my fears really seem to grow at night when it's dark. But how do I meet this? How do I meet this? And there's much to say about this, but I found the most practical way to meet this, I think, is to think about other humans in which this is very common, which is the small little humans, the children. Oftentimes, kids, and I have a kid who's a little bit scared of the dark right now. It happens very often, and so the question becomes: how do we meet this? How do we help a child that's scared of the dark? Because often we humans, we intuitively do what is actually the most helpful for other people, and particularly for children, but not ourselves. So I thought this is a great place to start. So how do we, when a child is scared of the dark, how do we meet that? What do we do? Do we tell that child, what's wrong with you? Why can't you control your feelings at night? You should get a grip on this. Like, it shouldn't be like this. We don't do that. Sometimes we do when we're angry ourselves, but we know that that isn't the right way, because if anything, that just makes them more scared. Now they're not only scared of the dark, they're scared of the reaction from their parent when they're scared of the dark. And so it is with us adults too. If our fears grow at night, grow in the dark, and we go, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get a grip? This is clearly nothing to be scared about. During the day, it's so obvious. Like, what's wrong with me? When we do that, we have sort of the double fear. We're scared of the dark, and we're scared of our own reaction of being scared of the dark. It just creates more fear. So mostly the way we meet a child that is scared of the dark is to say, um, to give the child a hug and say, there's nothing to worry about. It's going to be okay. And just point out that, that there's nothing wrong, nothing strange going on. So if you meet yourself in this way, you will see that you are indeed safe, that everything that's happening to you is common and normal, and you'll find peaceful sleep and peace of mind. So again, conclusion of this: if you've had this sort of adult version of fear in the dark, treat yourself as you would treat a child that has this fear of the dark, and you'll see beautiful things come your way. Hope this was really helpful to you. Let me know in the comment section what you thought, and look forward to having you back real soon. Until then, stay out of trouble.